Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. It's SPFBO review time. Today I'm looking at Unfamiliar Territory by Lindsay Carter. Unfamiliar Territory is both the name of this book and also the position I found myself in as I picked it up. The sort of fantasy I read doesn't normally tend to have many of the supernatural elements, and they do make up a big part of this book and indeed the world that it's set in. We follow a young woman of 2.5 years who is a bounty hunter, and along with her lichen hunt partner, she likes to take the sort of jobs that put her on the trail of werewolves and other unsavouries. So first things first, no, I did not make a mistake there. The main character is technically 2.5 years old. How can this be? Well, as the synopsis says, she's not exactly human. Our heroine, Cressida Curtin, is a cat. She's descended from a long line of cats who can shimmer up into human form, and she's currently the only thing standing between an ancient, terrible witch and the world that the witch wants to return to and take over. So this obviously gives us the main elements of our plot, but it is a slightly different take on it, I suppose, or one that you don't tend to see too many times, because although it is epic in scope, the fate of the world rests on one woman's shoulders, people in general in this world aren't actually aware of it. So this also gives us an idea of the world building here. We have werewolves and vampires and witches as background elements, although of course they do occasionally step into the foreground as well. And then amongst these, keeping her identity a secret, is Cressida. Cressida's ability to shimmer into cat form allows us to see more of the world than we might get with any what you might call normal character. As a human, she seems like an ordinary character of, she estimates, about 22 years of age. But as a cat, she opens us up, by virtue of the first-person narrative, to a whole new world of senses. Additionally, in her cat form, she can communicate with other animals, so her lichen hunt partner, Grim, is her best friend in more than just the typical man's best friend aspect attributed to a dog. This element is a huge advantage to Cressida in her line of work as a bounty hunter, because she can literally ask the local wildlife for help in tracking down her mark, whereas her peers are restricted to rather more mundane methods. Her ability to shimmer down into cat form also of course gives her access to and from situations and places that she wouldn't normally be able to get herself into. Now, I didn't think that the overall character group had a vast amount of depth to it, but for the main two, Cressida and Grim, we do get a bit of background from each of them, and of course we spend most of, if not all of our time with them, so we do get to know those two quite well. And with this dynamic and being able to actually have conversation with Grim as Cressida moves into her cat form, it does help us to appreciate Grim a little bit more, because we get to see him as a full character essentially, rather than just your typical animal companion. So there are a lot of interesting elements to this story, and I think the writing plays its part as well. It's got a very accessible style and a friendly, informal narrative that flows very nicely. Combined with a relatively short length at about 330 pages, it means it's the sort of book that doesn't take a vast amount of time to get through. Now, I did find that there were some areas where a little bit more complexity would have benefited a reader like me, but that's not the intention here. For me though, I think there were a couple of conveniences that could have had a little bit more to them, and there were two that particularly stood out for me because I didn't feel that they played a big enough part in the overall story to warrant being mentioned in the first place. So where Cressida can talk to animals in her cat form, she does mention at one point that it doesn't extend to the small prey animals that she hunts for food, because that would be a bit weird. But then she does talk to, at various points, birds, or at least one particular bird, and of course birds do fall into that small prey animal kind of category that cats do also hunt and eat, so that was a little bit strange. You've also then got the 3 energy that is mentioned at various points throughout the book. The story goes that about 100 years ago, Nikola Tesla opened a portal from our world to theirs and gifted them 3 energy for some reason. Tesla is never mentioned again except for just once in passing, and neither is our world, so it does seem a little bit strange and came across to me as just a way of explaining that they have this electric lighting rather than having to rely on flame. Apart from that, I did feel that the story was quite a decent one. It's definitely aimed more towards the cosy end of the scale rather than the complex, and I would suggest it's also more aimed towards the younger readers. I don't know whether the intention and the categorization is strictly young adult, but it's definitely accessible to those younger readers. For the type of reader who likes a nice easy reading fantasy with a healthy dose of the supernatural, I think this would be a really good recommendation. I'm not that type of reader myself, but the beauty of this competition is that doesn't really matter, because I'm not just looking at my enjoyment and my particular tastes, I'm looking at the overall quality of the writing and what I think other people might enjoy. So those are my quick thoughts anyway on Unfamiliar Territory by our Lindsay Carter. Do let me know in the comments down below if you've read this and what you think, or if it's the sort of title that you'd like to pick up and try for yourself. That's everything for today. I hope you enjoyed this quick look. I'll see you in the next video sometime soon. Until then, as always, take care of yourselves, read some good books. Bye for now.